Despite working with legends like The Who's John Entwistle and Robin Zander from Cheap Trick, Brian Johnson from AC/DC, and Ann Wilson from Heart, Steve Luongo just didn't click with Ritchie Blackmore, which meant that his stint in the band Rainbow was extremely short-lived. Someone I want to touch on is Ritchie Blackmore. What's your connection with Ritchie?
um, well, I was in Rainbow for a week.
Okay.
I got I got a call from a friend of mine. This is a good story. I don't tell it very much. I got a call from a friend of mine saying this is out on Long Island because Richie lived on Long Island,
Mhm.
and saying Ritchie Blackmore's trying to get in touch with you. And I thought, well, come on. If Ritchie Blackmore's trying to get in touch with me, it's really not that hard. And so I get this swirl of, a half a dozen phone calls throughout the day, and I said, this is crazy. And I knew that his manager, that Rainbow's manager, Bruce Payne, he had an office in Connecticut, which was right over the state line. So I rang him up and I said, "Hi, this is Steve Luongo," and I said, "I've been getting calls from friends that Ritchie Blackmore is trying to get in touch with me, and if that's the case, I wanted to give you my contact details." And Bruce said, "Well, yeah," he was kind of hesitant. I don't know that he was ready. And then all of a sudden he said, "Well, what are you doing tomorrow?" And I said, "Well, I'm easy tomorrow." He said, "Why don't you stop by the office?" And anyway, one thing led to another. And I brought some stuff of me playing, and they had heard of, the things that we did in Rat Race Choir. And so they asked me to come to an audition, which I went out to Long Island, drove out to the island, and there was a single, one kick drum, just a four-piece basic drum set, and all the guys were there. And as it turns out, Joe Lynn Turner, the singer, old friend of mine from New Jersey, David Rosenthal, the keyboard player, same thing. I had glanced off Roger Glover, over the years. Cookie, who was Richie's guitar tech, grew up on Long Island, so I knew him. Colin, I knew almost everybody in the band but Richie.
Mhm. Yeah.
Which made, if you know anything about Richie, he does not like to be off balance. So he says to me, "Do you do a drum solo?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "How long?" I said, "Well, whatever you need." He said, "A minute, 2 minutes?" I said, "Yeah, whatever you need." 5 minutes, 7 minutes? I said, if that's what you need, yeah. 10 minutes? And he's just taking the piss, right? So I said, "Yeah." I said, "Listen, whatever you need, in a drum solo, you got it." So we start playing a couple of songs, and he goes into "Long Live Rock and Roll," which is a shuffle, right? Dun, 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 right? And he sits down, he waves the keyboard player off, he sits down and unplugs his guitar and tells Roger to play. He looks at Roger, goes like this. And so we're doing this shuffle beat. I play a massive kit, and I'm an overplayer. I'm a lead drummer, just like John was a lead bass player. And so Roger's filling on bass, and we're playing together, and I love doing that. So I'm playing all stuff off of him, and then he looks at Roger and goes like this. So now I'm sitting there. Richie's unplugged. Roger's been, played out, and I'm on my own in a shuffle on a tiny set of drums. And I said, "Oh," because I had heard the stories, I had heard that, Richie was a prankster or tough here and that, and I didn't really know him. But I said, "Man, if you want to see if I can play for 10 minutes, you're going to hear every freaking note I've ever learned in my life." And I mean, I am just playing. And my goal was, you're going to plug that guitar and play me back in, or we're going to be here all night. And so I'm playing on the rims, and I'm under the cymbals and on the sides of the drums, and I'm going just berserk, right? Until he can't take it anymore. And he plugged back in and played me out. So that was kind of an omen that things were probably not going to go well. And then we went to the studio, and we recorded a track, and there were some differences of opinion about how tight we were playing, and what I should have just done although I'm glad I didn't. What I should have done is said, "Oh yeah, you're right. Let's do it again," which I didn't do. I said, "Nah, you're wrong. Let's go in and listen to it." And you really don't want to
Hmm.
call Ritchie out, and I, it was just not meant to be. The first thing he did in the studio, and we'll leave it here. And the guy's a brilliant musician, and you can't take any of that away from him. And I know some people that have played with him, Bobby Rondinelli for years, and so on and so forth. But he's coming down the stairs to the lobby of the studio, and I'm talking all Rat Race Choir. The guys are going, "Yeah, Long Island, It's like a big, home week, old home week. And he comes down the stairs and he goes, "Ah, Rat Race Choir. That's an interesting name. Who came up with that one?" So I said, "Bob Dylan," because it's from a Bob Dylan song, right? And he said, "Oh, really? Was he in the band?" And I said, "No, he's a songwriter from Greenwich Village." So I knew that it was going to go pear-shaped any minute. Just go in and do your thing. And I figured the only thing that I was going to get out of there with was my self-respect, not to be told that I did something wrong that I didn't. That's showbiz. It's the one. It's the one of those. I think everybody has to have one of those in their career. So that was mine.
Incredible. I love hearing those sorts of stories.